My project was on the sustainability of architecture. So what is it exactly? You break two words. You have sustainability, which is the avoidance of depletion of natural resources. And then we have architecture, which is the practice or art of designing buildings. When we put the two together, we have minimizing environmental impacts that construction has on the environment. So why did I choose this exactly? So ever since I started this BRVGS program, I knew I wanted to do something in architecture. That is something I've been passionate for as long as I can remember. Architecture has always called to me because of the fact that we have so many people that are homeless and people that need shelter, one of the basic human necessities. So my passion project was architecture and finding a way to not only increase homes for people, but also make it to where the environment isn't affected by it. So my burning question for this topic was, how can architecture be designed to be both affordable and sustainable? So while I was researching this project, I was looking for my quote of quality. And I wanted to do something with sustainability and architecture in my code of quality, but as I was looking at them, I realized that I wasn't really looking for something to be both sustainable and to be environmentally friendly, but something that keeps going. So my project and my code of quality that I used was architecture should speak of its time and place, but yearn for timelessness, because that's really what I'm trying to achieve. So when I get to my internship was at VMDO Architects in Charlottesville, Virginia. This architecture firm focuses specifically on educational buildings, such as K through 12, higher education, and also buildings such as YMCAs. While I was at my internship, I got to explore many different places with them. I did more than 30 hours. I'm still actually going to their office and shadowing them. So in this picture, I was able to go to Buford Middle School and see a project that was in the design and construction phase of it. So Another part that I went to was Western Albemarle, and here they are trying a new concept such as double and triple classrooms. Two different aspects and two different subjects are being taught in the same room. I also was able to go to the JMU reviews. So I got to see not only how architecture was put and used in a place such as an office setting or a person that's obviously trained to be an architect, but I was able to go to the university and see what was waiting for me when I got there. My community service. So in my community service, there was two different aspects of it. And one of my favorite aspects of my community service was working with Mr. Connell. And I worked with him with the Habitat for Humanity house that we do every year. And I was able to look at the blueprint that they used this year and come up with a list of different sustainable materials that he would be able to use in future Habitat for Humanity houses and projects that he can use. The other aspect of it was the LK water fountains that Harry touched on. And through this whole entire process of trying to figure out not only how to implement sustainability in architecture, but also how to implement sustainability in our school and how to make it to where people are aware of it as well. So with this, of course, we wanted to reduce the use of plastic and be able to encourage people to not only bring water bottles, but also use a system where they would be using sustainability even if they're not really thinking about it. So what I learned a lot from this entire process. Not only did I learn how an architect functions from a day-to-day basis, I also learned how much time and effort goes into everything and how much of a process everything is, as well as just trying to get your own ideas across, because it's such an involved project. So the legacy I'm hoping that will continue on is not only for the Habitat for Humanity houses to be more sustainable and have that in the forefront of their minds, but also for the LK water fountains to keep going and for them to be used every day, as well as to reduce the plastic. My advice to future BRVGS students is that to realize that there's a very long process to certain things. You have to go through a process in order to achieve your goals. And for example, with the LK water fountains, we started off this project saying that would be a great way to reduce plastic consumption. But also, not only do we have to get that approved, we also had to set up meetings to make sure that our administration was on board. It wasn't something that we could go and do. We had to make sure that everyone knew what was going on. So as for my future plans, I really want to major in architecture and minor in political science, but I am still waiting on a lot of decisions. So I applied to Syracuse, JMU, Virginia Tech, RISD, and Pratt. So we'll see where I go. Thank you very much.
You mentioned you worked with the Habitat for options. What
Yes.
were some of the options?
So when I was doing my research, and part of my whole research paper was looking at different materials to use. So there's, for example, instead of concrete, there's a thing called papercrete, and that's recycled paper used as concrete. There's also a bamboo option and different types of wood that are actually more sustainable because of like the different chemicals they use, or maybe like waxes. And also another thing that was there was paper insulation that was just, it's actually more affordable than regular insulation, as well as it's more sustainable and harmful for the people that are actually using it to construct the building. Any other questions? Yes.
You mentioned that you were very interested in the did you learn anything more in that? I know you were focused on architecture within school settings, but did you learn anything that
So, of course, not in like a K through 12 or maybe even a college, but we were looking at, they were designing a YMCA building where they were doing it to where there was actual rooms for kids that maybe couldn't stay at home all the time. And they were making sure to appeal to the kids and have this sort of sanctuary for them. So I guess in a way I did learn how even though it may be centered towards something completely different, you can still use the same focus to address other issues, such as like kids maybe not being able to be at their home the entire time. So yeah, in a way. Yes. Maybe trying to expand my community service project just to look into other aspects and different areas of it. Maybe not only focus on the school, but something outside of the community as well for me to personally get involved with, because I know it's pretty hard to get involved and also be in a lot of like classes and extracurriculars, but I would probably do that. Any other questions? All right, cool.
So because class changes and classes are going to be ending and they'll be changed, we're going to take a little